Hi, everyone. So before spring break, we're going to just get familiar with our new units. We're going to be done with energy and go into food chains, food webs, ecosystems, habitat. Okay, so we're going to start and do a nice little introductory activity to get your brains kind of flowing on what is this new chapter of science about. And then you're off on spring break. So we start learning in this chapter with two concepts. So you have this in your slide, producers and consumers. So as I read some of these big vocabulary words, okay, follow along with me. Then when I'm done reading this passage, you're going to have some comprehension questions. Okay, so you will definitely have to reread the passage on your own. But because it has some big vocabulary, I'd like you to follow along with me, okay? Animals and plants can be divided into two main categories, producers, consumers. Most plants are considered to be producers because, as their name says, they produce or make their own food. Animals, on the other hand, need to hunt or gather their food. This makes them consumers. There's four main types of consumers in our lovely animal world. A consumer, it's in bold, so it is a vocabulary word, is a living thing that consumes, which means to eat. But in science, we say consume. Other living things for energy. Both animals and plants need energy to survive. Without enough energy, plants would have a hard time making their own food, and animals would have trouble catching prey or escaping their hungry predators. One type of consumer is called an herbivore. I know it has an H in it, it's not herbivore, herbivore. An herbivore is a living thing that eats only plants for energy. Some examples are caterpillars because they feed mainly on leaves and grass. Another type of consumer is a carnivore. That's a living thing that eats other living things to survive. A lion is an example of a carnivore. And the third one is an omnivore. That's us, human beings. They are living things that eat both plants and animals to survive. A grizzly bear, that's interesting, huh? Grizzly bear, even though it's so big and kind of seems scary, it's an example of an herbivore because they eat fish and berries. The last type of consumer are called decomposers. Decomposers feed on dead materials or the remains of decomposed animals and plants. Some examples of decomposers are worms, flies, and ants. Decomposers are very important because they break down all that dead material. They then put the nutrients back into the earth that help more living things grow. And decomposers are at the end of our food chain. Okay, so you're going to go back and read that same exact passage right now that I read. And then you're going to answer these four questions from that passage. What are the two main categories that animals and plants are divided into? What's a producer? Not an example, but the definition. What is the definition of a consumer? And please tell me what an herbivore is and give an example either from the passage or you can research and find your own. Okay. So, in reality, to answer these four questions and go back in the passage, your teacher will give you about 10-15 minutes. When everyone's done, you guys are going to do an introductory activity on mystery science. Okay. You'll have a worksheet printed off that you will be doing, and it's a fun activity that you'll take a bigger look at herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. The very end of science, you're going to do some research. This is kind of fun as we start this chapter, and you'll be given specific animals that you'll have to research what type of consumer it is. And the proof, ladies and gents, is what that specific animal eats. That's the proof, depending your answers. So have some fun. Hopefully you love all the activities today as we start our new chapter before spring break. See you soon.